Joy Drive on Joy 94.9 FM in Melbourne, Joy on your digital radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn.com or the Joy app. No matter where you are, you can always take Em and Warren with you.
Theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive with Em and Warren.
Suzy Wrong, what's up?
Hey Warren, is the gym still a pickup joint?
You know what? I reckon it is. I had someone taking sneaky photos of me the other day.
Oh,
I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Sneaky photos. Is that you allowed to do that?
I'd say probably not.
And it's not.
but why didn't you confront them?
I was nervous. I get a bit nervous.
Were they a bit attractive?
Yeah.
Ah.
Sounds like it could have worked well for both of you.
No, I don't know. I was too busy focusing on my workout. My trainer wouldn't let me, so I was.
You can return the favor next time.
And take photos. Yeah.
Of him.
I suppose I could, couldn't I? I'll just, you know what? I'll take a flashlight and a big camera setup.
You know what this is? This is the beginning of a movie, I feel.
I know. Do you reckon it's a pickup joint?
I haven't been into a gym for decades, so that's why I'm asking you. But in this film that we're talking about today, there was this great scene in the gym. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, there is a great scene in the gym. It is a great film. We are talking about Bros, which we've both watched, and you have watched too, Suzy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? It's in cinemas now.
Bobby Lieber is a 40-year-old gay American who has yet to fall in love. His career is going well, having recently been appointed executive director at the National LGBTQ+ History Museum, whilst operating a podcast, auditioning for TV shows, and writing movie scripts. He's a popular guy with lots of friends. Even though he's cynical, Bobby's humorous and good-looking, and basically a replica of Billy Eichner, who plays him. The movie Bros, now playing in cinemas everywhere, is a work of fiction, but feels very much like a personal chronicle of Eichner's life in Hollywood as a white gay man in the 21st century. Bros is structured and marketed as the first rom-com to emerge from a major studio and certainly bears all the characteristics of that film genre, but there's something deeper at play here. Written by Eichner, Bros is a fierce assertion of queer values and of a gay sensibility that proves to be both politically woke and also extremely funny. The film manages to fuse together modern perspectives with traditional storytelling. It feels somewhat like a normal Hollywood movie, but in fact holds firm to its progressive ideologies and makes them central to the tone and message of Bros. Bobby's love interest, Aaron's journey from ignorance to political awareness, is a key plot point and also an earnest effort to elevate the film to something that will be meaningful to both audiences, gay and straight. I cannot stress how moved I am to see that the entire cast, aside from Deborah Messing's cameo, is LGBTQIA, and they all do a great job of their roles. All right, Luke McFarlane, who plays Aaron, is at best adequate, but I'm a big fan of Eichner's, and I think he more than makes up for McFarlane's shortcomings. My own cynicism prevents me from really believing in the Bobby-Aaron relationship, but there are a lot of great jokes, and for me, this is the funniest film of 2022. Em and Warren, isn't it nice to be taking a break from the very dark and serious shows of the last few weeks?
Oh, it was so good to take a break. It was so good to have a laugh, Suzy.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, and for those who've seen the film, they'll like this. They'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, go and see it. The Trauma Coaster. I mean, it was worth it just to see the Trauma Coaster.
I think it's so funny. I was so worried about this film because, you know, they've marketed so much as being a major studio film. And I thought there would have to be a lot of compromises made to make it sort of palatable to general audiences. But I found the humor to be very niche, but niche in a way that really appeals to me. I just really love Billy Eichner's sense of humor.
I feel like calling it the funniest film of 2022. Suzy, really?
Yeah, because, well, what else?
Well, that's actually so true. Like now that you mention it, nothing else funny came out really. But yeah, okay.
There wasn't much competition, but to be fair, I laughed a lot for this one.
I'm going to start with, I guess, a bit of constructive criticism. I fundamentally do not believe. Okay, let me just say, to preface this, there is a lot of like texting that goes on back and forth in this film. You know, there's some like
on Grindr.
There's Grindr messaging, but there's also like text messaging. There's a lot of messaging that happens throughout this film. And I fundamentally do not believe that Bobby was ever actually messaging. Like, it's such unrealistic messaging style. Like, you're watching the character, like, text, and you're like, I don't believe you. No one texts like that. Like, his thumbs were like...
I didn't even notice
honestly, it made me so annoyed. I was like, I do not believe that you're writing, hey, like, want to hang out. Honestly, it was like...
All right. So it's not that you're not believing the content. It's just the performance.
Yes. Like, I do not believe that any texting happened. And that honestly would take me out of it so many times because it happens quite a lot. They're messaging and I'm like, you are not messaging. But that's like my biggest criticism. So there you go.
Okay, that's the worst thing in the film.
Yeah. You know what I did highlight for me? It highlighted how difficult it is to represent all of us on screen at the same time, and I thought it did it really well with the whole museum team. You know, each member of the alphabet is fighting to be heard, and I don't know, it kind of got me thinking a little bit. If is that a characteristic of our LGBTIQ plus community? You know, we all have our own letter that we identify with, and associated experience and our trauma, etc. And we all want to be heard. And it just got me thinking, are we all heard? And are we fighting too much amongst each other to be heard?
Good point. I think it's very modern. It's a very modern way to do a film. And a lot of the news coverage of it has been about the casting and that team of people working at the museum. I think it's interesting. I love that a lot of humor came from that.
So
like it was quite self-aware that it was doing something. It wasn't sort of pretending that, it's not, it's normal. It's kind of bring it up to the fore. A lot of the stuff about the bisexual man was really funny to me. Was it like, and I'm posing this as a question, was it almost like a parody of itself? Like those board meetings, obviously, they give a window open a window into the LGBTQIA plus community, but it almost did feel like they were almost parodying themselves. And was that purposeful parody? I think it's a very Billy Eichner thing. It is, and I would propose that it's a very queer sense of humor to always sort of be standing outside, even standing outside of your own self and sort of making a parody or criticizing what your life is like, to sort of trying to find a way to be objective about it, maybe. Yeah, I find that sort of self-awareness kind of humor to be very appealing.
The other thing is too, it's really nice to see a film like, it does deal with, it mentions AIDS, particularly when they're, setting up the museum. And I mean, for a lot of us, that is something that is pretty heavy and traumatic for those of us who lived through, the 90s and lost so many friends to it. And I've got to admit, it's the first time that, when I heard the line, we had AIDS, but they had glee, I was laughing my head off, and it was just, I don't know, it was kind of nice to discuss such a topic and to finally, yeah, okay, we have moved on, things are different, and let's laugh, let's have a laugh about something that he said that was quite funny, and I thought that was really well done in the whole film. They touched on what we went through, but it didn't dwell on it. Yeah, it's great that they sort of really paid homage to that generation of people. And, with the museum as well, there were many opportunities for them to show, the shoulders that, we stand on. I think that's really a really important part of the film that gives it its heart and soul, to sort of understand what we're laughing at and why we're laughing, and also maybe to give us a bit of a license to laugh, to also because you don't want to go into this world of just like rich white people and then think that, oh, isn't life funny? It was good that they brought in all the other stuff that were darker, and then sort of after acknowledging that had happened, and then we are able to laugh freer, I think. Now, Suzy, I did think of you when there was the wrestling sex scene in the room. I thought that was hilarious, and and I thought of you and your horse.
Thank you.
Your horse, is it your horse whip you've got in your bedroom?
The whip that I'm. It was quite a long sex scene. Yeah. It was very comedic. There was a lot of like elements of BDSM in it that they tried to, they were sort of half serious and half funny. I thought it was pretty well done. It was probably one of the scenes that Luke Macfarlane played pretty well.
One of the few, I get the sense you're saying.
But also the way they dealt with Grindr, I mean, it was so realistic. yet so funny. You know, the texting. That's why I said to you, Suzy Wrong, what's up? Because that's what a lot of people say, isn't it?
Right.
What's up? What
I
are
was
you
confused
into?
by that too, but there we go. It makes sense.
Yeah. And then you know, and then he spends all this time taking a photo of his bum and is quite nervous about it and what have you, and then sends it off and the guy blocks him. And I mean, that's true. That happens, isn't it? We can be so rude to each other and just block each other rather than just saying, hey, thanks for taking the time to photograph your bum and sending it to me. But do you know what I mean? Like, it was funny, but yet it was also real and kind of sad in that respect.
In that way, Warren, I posed the question, how do you feel about the ending? Do you think that remained true to the, like, we are, you know, focusing on stuff in a truthful lens, in a realistic lens?
I think that the ending for me, I feel like that's what let the film down at the end. It was a little bit sort of happy ever after, and a bit fanciful. But, you know, I reckon the rest of the film certainly made up for it. I think it was a real for the first time. You know, Suzy, we've spoken about a few different films over the past couple of weeks, and I mentioned last time that we spoke, I said, you know, I haven't seen myself represented necessarily in queer film. And I haven't, and I know some people have. I haven't seen myself in this one. I kind of could, in some ways, identify, you know, with Bobby and some of the things that he was going through. And I thought it was a really good, realistic representation of what it's like to be a gay man.
That's a good point. I think he writes in a lot of really honest things. Sometimes the scenes that he writes really honest things about, they almost feel like they come out of nowhere. They kind of don't fit the plot very well. Like the beach scene where he starts complaining about, you know, the difficulty about being a gay person in entertainment. It sort of comes out of nowhere, but it is those things that make the film feel like really real, I think, because the general story, the love story, the general rom-com, Hollywood rom-com story just never, you know, I've never liked a rom-com, so I'm the last person to critique it, but it just never feels like an authentic thing to me. But Billy Eichner is able to squeeze in a lot of real things in there, in the middle of this sort of conceits of the romance that really does, for me, deliver the goods.
We're chatting about Bros, which is currently in cinemas with Suzy Wrong. I wonder, I'm not sure. I didn't love the film as much as you both loved it, just to be totally honest. Yeah. I don't know why. I actually found Bobby quite unlikable, to be totally honest.
I think the only thing going for it is the humor.
Yeah.
I think there are other things that are quite good, like its representation. All those things are well done. But I think its star is the humor. And if it's not your humor, it's just not your humor. And I get that.
Yeah, fair. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Because there's nothing much else aside from the comedy, really.
And it also deals with, I mean, a lot of us struggle, don't we, in forming relationships, and we go in and out of them, and, you know, we don't necessarily, we don't know how to be loved, do we? We're not taught how to be loved and how to accept love, and you could see them both struggling with that, but it was done in a humorous way. I thought that was good. I thought it was great.
That's just such a great point. That's such a great point, Warren. And I think that my whole critique, I guess, you know, about this rom-com genre thing is, it tries so hard to make a film work where the romance is the center and it ends at a happy place. But the thing is, you know, like you and I are from a generation where we never really were taught how to love and how to receive love. And also, I guess we kind of become grown-ups and now middle-aged people, kind of being not just skeptical, but also understanding that there are completely valid ways of living life outside of this sort of idea of what a complete life looks like. And so, in a film like that, where it tries so hard to put the romance in the middle, it's just a little bit hard for us to buy into it completely, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think I loved it. I must admit, we sat down, we watched it last night. I was laughing my head off. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The time went really, really quickly. I thought at first, oh, this is going to be one of those stereotypical films. You know, it did start off a little bit like that. But by the end of it...
It started off with the thing that you hate. Are you a top or a bottom?
Yeah, it started off, you know, that same thing that we all want to define ourselves as. Like, we feel like, you know, we were talking earlier about my label on my T-shirt being stuck out. I feel like, you know, we all have to wear that around our neck. It doesn't matter what you are. You know what I mean? We don't have to reveal that up front, but it did reveal it. But then it just completely changed. I loved it. I would encourage people
Are you
to
gonna
go to
leave your massive fortunes to share?
Massive Fortunes.
To share.
Oh, to share. To share. CHER.
Yeah. No, for Suzy
Yeah,
and I
to
to share,
share.
obviously.
I was thinking, what Massive Fortunes?
That was the first laugh that was the one that really did it for me. Yeah, that was the first laugh, and I couldn't stop laughing after that.
I think so too. So it is called Bros. It is in cinemas now.
Suzy, what are we
And
watching
hopefully
next
it goes to streaming soon.
Yeah, I'm sure
next
it will.
week, My Policeman. My Policeman stars the very famous Harry Styles. It's a drama set in England in the 1950s and is available to stream on Amazon Prime Video. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks so
See you,
much,
Suzy.
Suzy.